Hey everyone, and welcome to another stream. Good morning, good evening in countries where this is already evening. Welcome to the stream. We are going to continue working on the React sort of portfolio side that we were working before. And in this stream, of course, you can ask any questions about React. If you have any questions about Next.js, you can also ask those as well because we are going to use both Next.js and React as well. Uh, Let me know if you can hear everything correctly. And for example, this, and then we can quickly move forward as well. But this stream is supposed to be a two-way stream, so you can ask questions and you can also share your experience as well. If you have projects that you want to show off, do those as well. We can start with looking at the nice little art that I had in the coffee. I don't know if it's gonna focus that at all. Hey, focus it. Can you see the little sort of flower I tried to make? Doesn't look good or doesn't look too bad. It's in the middle, just like my skills. So we're gonna start looking into the code itself where we were last time. So we started with the form, and I think right now we are going to add some more sort of sections to it. We're going to look into some sections that can show some numbers as well. So let's start with those right now. This is not the one. Where's my other code? Da, 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 da. That's not the one. Let's close that guy. Bring in this one. This is the one. So let's give this a proper heading. Like this. I think last time what we did, we changed the width of this to this, and I think we'll keep it that way. So let's create a section for some numbers. I'm gonna also zoom in a bit so you can also see this a bit better. So what we can have, I think we right now have just the hero. We also could have let's see, I think we could have some sort of slider that can move around a bit as well. Give me one quick second. Yeah, so we need some sort of animation that goes around. Da, 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 da. And then we have each div inside. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so we'll sort of create a sort of section in which we can have some sort of logos, and we are going to have it as a slider. So let's create a new section. So let's quickly go here. We're going to create a new section. We're going to call it a section with having a class. We'll call it let's call it companies or products delivered, sort of having that class. And then inside that we can have a heading. So let's add a h3. I think we already have an h2 somewhere. Oh, we don't. So h2, and let's call this happy clients globally, or having a was successful full products delivered. And here let's bring this guy into a span, and we here, and we can also then this guy right here, we're gonna copy the animation right here, successful products delivered. Here, let's copy this guy, and then let's take this class name to say text accent. So if we look at the app right now, it shows something like this. Okay, we need to give this the same class as the other ones. So for example, we have here, we have, grid, blah blah blah. I think we can take all of those actually. So in this one, let's take a bg white, and then inside that we should also have a div. This could take some class names, so we could call this mx auto, mx width screen, lg, px4, py8, and we also should have sm, py16, lg, px6. So just matching all of these, and then we can take it from here. So if I then put the h2 inside, this should look a bit nicer, right? And let's also change the Mateen Yasin. Looks like your account has been hacked or something. I'm gonna put you on a timeout. So yeah, let's try to have not too many spams in the chat. And then we can also have this guy saying text base 100. So we have this, but we will also have these essentially having a bigger text. So class name can be text2xl and also text center. And so if we look at now, it looks like this. We also should have a text bold by default. Yeah. Products delivered. And now we can have a slider. So here we're going to have a slider. So we can say something like a slider, and then this is going to have a particular animation, but we are going to put that animation or pick that animation from somewhere. So what we can do right now is just have some dummy logos. So for example, I think we can also take it from real ones as well, but that's fine. So here the slider should have a flex, gap 4, and then we also would have some other as well. I'm also gonna disable the reply commands timer. Give me 1 second. Actually, let's leave it as it is. Okay, so then we can have some sort of a couple of elements with images. So let's pick some from the actual site. Have I opened it anywhere now? No. Let's go with next.com. And we did have some in the portfolio that I can get the logos of. So Team Center, IC Plan, Frontier Signals. I don't think we have logos of any of those. Maybe we do. Let's have a look. If I go found out more, Team Center. Yeah, there we go. Team Center. I don't know. Is that the whole image? Oh no, it's the whole image. Let's do a hero. We're gonna use hero icons for this, or I think there's also something called logo pixum. Will this code be available on GitHub? Most likely not. Most likely not. But you can. I mean, I'm not doing something crazy here, so it's available. But I would have to ask. Maybe this will be. I'm not really sure, but most likely it won't be. Okay, so let's copy this guy. Circular. So he is the SVG. but I actually wanted the SVG logo and not. Okay, we can take this one. That's fine. Open with Visual Studio Code. Open. So that's the logo. Okay, I think we can put that in here. That's fine. So we're gonna put this into. There should be a public folder somewhere. I don't know if we have that. Components, styles. No, I don't think we have a public one. Okay, let's put this here then. So we can have assets and images, or we can say logos. And then inside here, we can have a pixum 1.svg, and then just put that there. And then in the page, we can have this right here. So we can have, I'm just going to use images directly for now, but we can use something else later on as well. So, and we are going to use the NextJS image tag. So this has to have a width of, I would say 80, and the height can be 30. And then we can have the src, which should be actually this logos, no, assets, logos, and then pixum 1.svg. And then we can also have an alt. The alt should be pixum logo. Let's have a look at if this gets rendered. No, it doesn't. So that means the style is, or this is not accurate. Yeah. Next.js 13 assets folder. I can't remember how we did assets. Yeah, from the public folder, right? Similar to pages, but I didn't see any public folder. That's what I thought in the beginning. Where's the public folder? I don't see any public folder, so I think we can just create one. So let's say a public, and then we can move the assets to public. And once we do so, I think then we should be able to public. Yeah, I think then it should be good. So let's see if I refresh this. Do I need to restart my server? Maybe. Let's see. I'm gonna disable these response messages that are coming in, chat timers, because then I'll not see your questions and will be distracted by it quite a lot. Okay, let's see. There we go. So now we have it. So let's do one thing. Let's put this image inside a slider image. And this could actually be I would say multiple of these, something like this. Hey, Wonasty, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Let's put this right here. Let's also put a bit of a margin. So empty, let's go with a 6. So we have some sort of spacing between these. What I'm going to do is, actually we could render this like multiple times. I'm going to show you a trick. I want to render this multiple times. So what I can do is, I can actually say in JavaScript, I can say, and because this is dummy for at the moment, say new array, I don't know, 16 dot fill 0. Now we have an array of 16 elements, and then I can just say map, and then I can quickly just return this from here. And I can also have the value here, but the index, and I can just use the index as the key. So key is going to be index. So instead of like rendering or writing it 10 times, I now have 16 of them. Yay! And then also I can have flex wrap. So we are now wrapping them up. One mostly says, I'm so fascinated by front-end developers. Well, that's a first. That's the first. I don't think I've actually heard that quite a lot. I don't think so. No. So I'm now intrigued. You've gotten all my attention. What do you do? Is it build tools? What you build? Am I talking to a Vim developer or what? What are we talking about right here? Or is it backend? What are we talking about? I think we should rather say flex wrap, no wrap. But if we do no wrap, then we would also have to say overflow. Not overflow. What I want to do is not to have them in one single line. So by default, this is how it should look, right? Flex wrap wrap. But I also want to say that this doesn't take two different lines, which means that I might have to restrict. I'm thinking. Cybersecurity, so mainly backend. That's awesome. What kind of platforms and tools are you working with? What programming language do you work with? Okay, so one thing that we can also do is, because we would want to have an overflow. I'm thinking. Maybe what we should have is white space no wrap, and then overflow visible, but then also we would have or actually overflow auto. What I don't want to have actually is these things coming in. So if I want a horizontal scroll and I want them to be, I could also have done this with inline and not flex, but then I would lose all the other stuff. So if I wanted to have flex wrap, no wrap, but then I also wanted to have the minimum width of these to be a bit more. So I think what we want to have is a width of I think we decide 80 pixels at least. No, what did I do? Slider image, yeah. And if we try to do a 120 pixel, then it would still increase, or the whole container increases, but they're still stuck. PHP, Python, JavaScript, and C and ASM. That's a lot of. How long have you been coding? Rose Taylor, hey, how's it going? UBIT, yeah, UBIT. All right. So if we look at the image itself, it's trying to adjust itself in there. The maximum width is gonna take the problem with that because it's not allowing it to go beyond this. And if we wanted to have, okay, let's have a look. So this one, the overflow is gonna be hidden. Okay. If we start to animate this, with its translation or transform, translate X, and I go with a -100%. So if you look at this, it would start with this and then go there, but obviously with animation. So we need to fix a few things. First, we need no wrap, overflow hidden, white space is not required. So let's do that. So in here we do have overflow hidden, no wrap, flex wrap needs to go away because now we have conflicting styles. Then we also talked about one more thing, what was transform. Transform, we are going to put that later on, but each image actually has to have a max width, not 100%. I would rather say this should have a class name that has max width none. So let's have a look at this now. If I refresh now, let's see what happens. Since 6 years, that's amazing. That's awesome. Zishan Ilya says, Ahsan bhai, what about head? What we will do right now? Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. Right now, I'm just working with this website or web app in which I'm adding a bunch of logos and we are actually making them slide. So right now what I have is just a bunch of logos that I picked from logoipsum.com, which has 100 free placeholder logos. And I'm going to look into if Tailwind CSS has animation that I can use directly with translate, or if Daisy UI has some. Otherwise I'm going to have to use my own. So animation. So we do have animate none, animate spin, animate ping, animate pulse, bounce. I don't think we have slide or something. No. Process. So we have pulse right there. So we have some basic animation, but I think I would have to use my own animations. Oh, so we do have some animations that we can extend in here. So we'll use this, okay? Fatma Imran. Hey, how's it going, Fatma? I started with 15 years making CSGO cheats. So now you're cheating. It's 15 years. It's not 6 years. That's awesome. Damn, is CSGO 15 years old? What? Is that true? Ah, okay. I was like 15 years. Damn. Okay. When you were 15. Okay. My bad. Understood it wrong. I was like, CSGO 15 years? No, it doesn't make sense. All right. So how about we try to say that we're going to add another animation and then we are going to name it. So let's go to Tailwind CSS. And if we go to Tailwind CSS or Tailwind config.js, inside, I think it's inside the theme extend animation. So here we have theme extend. We do already have some colors, font family. Animation is not there, so we can say animation, and here we can add our own. So let's call it slide left, and we're going to add this. So let's say this, and let's then try to add this. So when we try to use and then we can use animate, wiggle. Okay, cool. Arbitrary values can be used like this. And then we have Homer animate spin. So we just need to say animate spin, and the animation name was, okay, so when we do spin slow, how do we use that inside? I think we need to use this animate slide left. So let's try this out. So if I say animate, yeah, you can see right here we got animate slide left. So this is what we want to use. So if I start with this, you'll see nothing because we need to also define the animation as well. So now we have animation, slide left, infinite, normal. I think I've done some mistake. So let's see. Where was the Tailwind one? Not here, here. So extend animation, and then here keyframes. I need to add keyframes and then the animation. So let's quickly go here. And we also need to say then wiggle. So here we need to say slide left, and slide left needs to be keyframes. So keyframes. And when we use keyframes, we need to give the 0 position or from and to. So here I can say, for example, 0 and 100 or just 0%. So here 0% would basically mean that it would have a transform translate x, that should be 0. And do I need a semicolon there? No. And then for the 100%, I need the transform to be translate x minus 100%. And this is our, and I also need to put that inside the name. So if I go here, I need to put this inside slide left and give this an object, and then this should be the one. So this is an object, contains 0, and then the other one. All right, there we go. Hey, let's go. Okay. Shush. Okay. So this is going like this. What I don't really like is when it goes towards the end, it comes back like this, which is a bit scary. So I'm not really sure. I want it to be continuous, but I don't know. Maybe I should have it in a way that it's not shown all of it, but we are going to still look into how to make it possible. Okay, so let's do this. So what we want to do is, for the animation, we are seeing this working, but let's also 20 seconds. I would say 10 seconds maybe. So first of all, making it a bit faster. And then also what I want to do is, for these images, I think we want to class name x with none. I think let's basically make them a bit bigger. Also, we need to give a more gap. So instead of 4, I think we're gonna go with 10. Okay, so now this looks nice, but the problem is this whole thing is actually cutting a bit, right? So what we want to do is, we want to have this guy in the center, but this slider should not be in this MX Auto Max with the screen. So we're going to take this div out. And the shortcut, as I shared yesterday, is if you just press Alt and then down key, then it just moves the thing out of it. So now it looks something like this. But I'm not really sure how we'll get to I don't know how we'll get to the point where we can have let's see. So we have, in our Tailwind config, we had normal, none. I think we can also add running. Let's see if that fixes it at all. No. So if I go here, I need, let's have a look at the animation and in a better view. So this is our slider. This is our animation at the moment. If we expand this, you're gonna see that we have animation play state running, we have fill mode none, direction normal, count is infinite, and then we have the slide left, which is basically coming from here. So we have 10-second, linear, infinite, normal, none running. And if we have a look at the slide left keyframes, oh, this is minus 0%. I don't know if that should affect anything, but Let's fix that actually. But we still have the UI, which is right now being cut, and that's not fun at all. Hmm. How do we go about this? Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. What if we did a max width of, let's see, so this one had a max width, but that is set on the, I don't think any width is supposed to be set on the actual inner elements, I think, but we can, mm, but I think we can double check. Mm-hmm. Because what I also don't want to do is to have a position absolute. Okay, let's have a look at how we can do a CSS infinite slider animation. I want to see infinite scroll animation. We could have that, but let's see. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. But then we also want to have a delay of them as well. So if I run the pen, let's see. Da, 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 da. Hmm. Mm, the restriction is equal width element. I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Hmm. Let's have a look. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, so we are not really moving the actual element, but we are moving everything else. That makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Let's have a look. And what is the CSS looks like? So we have a gallery class which has a variable the duration. It does a display grid. It has a repetition of this. So visible 3 are there at the moment. The gap is G into W. What is G? Gap is the percentage of the width. Okay. And is number of images, and W is the width. Interesting. Then we are doing a overflow hidden. We're adding a mask. I have no idea what the mask does at the moment here, but then you have grid area with 100% aspect ratio is this object cover, and then the animation is actually this one. So this is the animation, this is the duration, this is the yeah, it's linear and it's gonna run infinitely. It starts from I2 to n+1. Interesting. What happens to the first one then? Anyways, for the second one it says image, okay, so this one is for the first one. No, this is for everyone. No, this is for all the immediate children of gallery, but still it's not only the first one. So then we have image and child, and then we are just changing the delay for it. So the calculation becomes 1 minus I divided by n. So it's gonna be a negative. Okay. Okay, so you're essentially subtracting it from 1 second, but then you're also multiplying it with the duration as well. Okay. and then we have 100 divided by, I have no clue what this does. So it's looking at into G. Okay, so it's looking at the percentage of that particular item in the animation, and then it's gonna translate it 100%. That's gonna be the same for everyone, but not necessarily. I think some of them would have to translate beyond their 100% position, but maybe it's calculating it right here. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the view. Okay, interesting. Interesting, very interesting. Let's try this out. Let's try this out and see if it actually works. So we're gonna copy this guy. Actually, all of this. Let's have a look. But we don't have SCS. Oh, I don't think we have SCSS. Styles? Yeah, we don't have SCSS. Then we have a problem. View compiled. So then we can just copy this guy. No. But then we would have to give the proper, no, we'll have to calculate this properly as well. I'm thinking, if I move here and if I start saying, I don't want you to have the overflow hidden, what happens then? I think, yeah, that should actually fix everything. Yeah, so it restarts the animation. So let's remove the overflow, but I also want to have one more thing here. Let's say we also add a index, and we can say index. So let's see, 10, we had 16. So after 10 ish, we then restarted. Okay, not too bad. Let's make it a my6, so we also have a gap below as well. Actually, let's make this a py6, so we have some spacing there as well. Why do we have so much gap? Is it because of the padding? Oh yeah, that's why. Okay, let's not, no, okay, no, I would have to do that anyways. Let's add the px4 and py8 from here to here, and we'll take it from there. It looks like I missed a lot of messages. Zishan says, I'm a little bit confused about mastering the frames versus pure CSS responsiveness. What is the actual is better for both thing, bootstrapping versus pure CSS responsiveness? You can use Bootstrap, you can use pure CSS. It's up to you. Ideally, what you could have is, I mean, in the end, you'll still be using media queries if you're using Bootstrap, or if you're not using Bootstrap, it's the same thing. So it doesn't matter. You can pick either of those. In the end, if you know pure CSS, then it's much more easier to do. For example, you saw I didn't use any Bootstrap. So I know how to write normal CSS, and then I can go inside even the Tailwind config and do this. If you just know Bootstrap, you would have no idea on how to do this. So that's my take on this. So in the end, you need to know the core concepts. Fatma says, Ahsan bhai, have you used AI yet in your job other than ChatGPT? Other than ChatGPT, no. I think I've used ChatGPT for the things that I'm highly confused about, or if I have some error, or if I want to do something that I know already that I can do pretty nicely. For example, just writing a simple script for reading a CSV and outputting a JSON. So things like those trivial tasks, I just use ChatGPT to just create that content. And then obviously I have to either tweak it to make it a bit better, because I think personally ChatGPT is like a really, it's a very enthusiastic junior software engineer. So that is the reality. Like, like no matter what you say, the code that you're gonna get from ChatGPT is it's meh. So I don't really trust ChatGPT quite a lot. Same goes with the other AI. So I have yet to see a good coding AI that really helps. So yeah, not using AI quite a lot in the workplace at the moment. Ross says, could you please provide guidance on migrating a large Angular JS 1.3 code base to React? The project contains millions of lines of code. We need strategies for a smooth transition. Ross Ahmed. Ross, you are asking for consultation for free. That's not cool. No. I think there are two strategies, realistic strategies, and that goes for every single project. When you jump to a project which has a lot of issues, whether it's migration or whether it's not migration, and just some bugs that or a lot of issues, a lot of tech debt, the two realistic strategies. One is you assess if you can have a lot of time to basically assess all the problems. So you first need to assess all the problems, and then you need to document those. For example, you need to migrate, I don't know, millions of lines of code. How many modules do you have? You name them down via file, and you can write a Node.js script. Just ask ChatGPT to look into your code base, and or write a script that looks into your code base, identifies the components, directives, blah blah blah, and then gives you a list of all of those. So you can write a really simple ChatGPT script for that. That's what I would do. Then once I have listed my components, directives, services, whatever, then I would analyze, what kind of I could also modify the script to also give me the lines of code per module. So I know, how many lines of code I'm migrating per each module or per component or whatnot. And then what I'll do is I'll ask my team, especially the ones who are a bit senior, to assess how much time on average a module would take for them to migrate, or a component would take for them to migrate. And they can give, like, 4 hours per module, 2 hours per module, depending on the complexity as well, right? So when you have those things, and I think one of the things that you would also want to look into when you're assessing this is also how many other components is a component based on, because that also creates like a bit more complexity. I think it would be a great thing to have such a tool that can assess, because I think software engineers have done it in the past, that they built a tool for understanding like the what we call the cyclomatic complexity of each component or each module. But if you can assess those, then you can take estimates from your team, and then you have a good estimate of, okay, these are the number of lines of code, these are the number of modules that we have to migrate, and then this is the time that we expect that we can deliver. And obviously you need to keep buffer time in that as well for things that go wrong. So once you have that assessment, then you start migrating. So that's the first strategy, that you first spend a lot of time analyzing this as accurately as possible, and then in terms of real human effort of how much time it's going to take. That's the first approach. The second approach is for when you don't really have the luxury to spend a lot of time, and you need to ship products, you need to fix bugs, you need to create more features, and that is of much high priority or higher priority. Then what you should do is just touch the file which is new. So for example, if you have an Angular and React, or you want to move to React, then first try to find if you have the possibility to create anything new in the team on React. So instead of migrating the old components, you try to look into how you can put the new stuff on the new technology. So for example, be it a React component, or be it, I don't know, because I've seen different projects that use React with Angular, or Vue.js with Angular, or Angular in Vue.js with some sort of shell that can work with that. But let's say if you're talking about pages, so just if you can have those pages, for example, your app has a multitude of things like calendar. For example, let's take an example of Google. So if you have Google Calendar, you have Gmail, Google Mail, you also have let's say Google Keep, you also have Google Sheets, Google Docs, so a lot of things, right? Anything new that you're creating, if you can host that as a separate application, a React application, and then you're creating everything new on React, and a team is basically responsible for that. And then on a architecture level, if you can make sure that both of these applications work flawlessly, for example, you have a header in your first application, which is Angular, but in that header you have a link that opens the other app, and that other app is shown to the user within the same sort of domain or subdomain that has the same sort of authentication on top. So you can move the authentication from the app level to the load balancer level that can have both of the applications within that. So you need to somehow figure out how do you share the same authentication between those two, and the same session, of course. And then the React application should have the same header. So you have the same header in Angular and you have the same header in React. But when you click those, they basically move between the applications. So a better mindset would be to create everything new in React so you don't have technical debt before actually, or instead of just going all the way to migrate something from Angular that could take a lot of time. So it depends on what your priorities are. If you're talking about an enterprise company, I assume they would have the time and the budget and the resources to spend on first analyzing, how much time it takes, and then also migrating. But I don't think that any team likes this approach that they're not shipping anything new for a longer period of time. I've never seen that in the 10 years of my life, or not my life, but my work career, that any team just said, no, we're not going to ship anything new. I'm not going to fix any bugs. We're just going to migrate our application. I've never seen that. So you need to figure out a way to balance both of them on what is the best strategy that you still are providing value, because stakeholders need to see what you're doing. Nobody would buy this that, oh, we are migrating the technologies, because it doesn't really benefit, or this doesn't really show up in terms of user acquisition or customer satisfaction, because the customer wants to use your application. It doesn't matter if you're using Angular or React. Yeah, if it's slow, then you need to improve the performance, and then you can see the customer satisfaction. But just the technology change, or even upgrading from Angular version, I don't know, 15 to 17, it doesn't really matter because the user doesn't see that. So it's really good for developers, and the developers are usually really hyped about, yes, we can migrate this whole thing into the new thing. But nobody in the stakeholders sort of seat usually buys that. So yeah, those are the two strategies. You can either migrate, spend some time and look into the whole migration and plan it out in terms of actual human effort, or a full-time employee working on number of hours, and then you can migrate that alongside the new fixes on the same application. Or you start with a separate application with React, or you find a way to embed React into Angular using some sort of shell, and then you start coding everything in React. So that would be my suggestion, and I just gave that away for free. So yay, I hope that helps, or at least gives you some pointers. Alrighty, I think this is looking pretty nice. It's not super smooth, but I think it's still it's not too bad. Index 9, 10, 11, 6. Okay, so this is really smooth. I like it. What is the difference between normal and clean code? If you're talking about, for example, dev.tool dashboard clean, for example, look into this article. I think a lot of people actually like this, as you can see from the numbers that are here. So if you're talking about specifically JavaScript clean code, look at these and you'll find some practices, and you'll also find the reasons of why the approaches that I'm suggesting are better than the other one. So clean code basically follows a lot of principles. We're talking about dry, we're talking about solid. We're also talking about things like cyclomatic complexity. We're also talking about decoupling the code. So there's so many practices that go into clean code. Clean code means that the code that is written is really, really easy to maintain. It's performant as well. I mean, not necessarily performant, but it's really, really easy to read. It's really, really easy to maintain. I think that's going to be my definition for clean code. Let's do this again. So you've asked what is, or actually, let's do this like this. So you've asked what is clean code. Clean code means that the code that you have written follows the principles for clean code. For example, solid, dry, and it's really, really easy to read, and then it is really, really easy to maintain. So both should be there. Really easy to read, really easy to maintain, and then you have clean code following the practices. So I hope that makes sense. All right. Cool. So I hope that makes sense. I also shared that link in the chat as well. So let's remove the index from here. And now we have a logo. I also want to have this this guy right here having a margin bottom of 6. So I have some gap in this. What I don't like right now is a lot of spacing that we have right here. So we have a lot of spacing here, but then a lot of spacing here as well. I'm not really sure. Maybe we should have this display flex having items center. And so this, let's see. So this guy slider image, no, this guy has everything centered, right? So this one has a margin, that's fine. This one has a padding, which is a lot. But then this one also has a margin. So let's remove the margin from this guy, I think. py6. We're gonna remove this. And we're gonna increase this to 12. Yeah, I think this looks much nicer. Happy client skill believe is successful products delivered. Awesome, good. Rohan says, sir, can you please give a brief explanation on positions in CSS? Didn't understand that well. I have a video. Do you understand Urdu, Rohan? I think you do. I have a video on that. You can definitely have a look there. So yeah, you can have a look at this one. This one is in English. And if you understand Urdu well, then pick the other one. So the second link is there is in Urdu. And if you have not really looked into my course yet, you can look in the web development course. We have more than, thank you, I consent. We have more than 1,000 students actually looking at this one. Absolute and sticky are two different things. Absolute means that you're giving it an absolute position relative to some other container. So for example, if I have, I don't know, some button somewhere, then maybe I can give an example. For example, this one here. So this button or this X right here is absolute compared to this block. So this block is the parent container and this is set to absolute. So this one would mean I'm gonna give top 10 and then right 10, and then this is absolute. So it goes to an absolute position of top and right compared to or against this box. If I don't have a relative container, then this top right would be against the whole page. That's how it works. So you can try it out. Create a div, give it some sort of give it a position relative, create a button inside, give this position absolute, give this a top and right, and then you'll see that it's right here. If you remove the position relative from the top div, from the parent, then it will go right here. This is how by default it works. When it comes to sticky, then you need to give this a sticky and then a top of 10 or 12, which means that when the UI is here, for example, we can also look into this. I think this would probably make much more sense if we had it here. So if I gave this a position sticky, sticky, and then you gave it a top of 20 pixel, something like this, then that means that, as you can see, if I scroll this a bit, then it goes away. So what you need to have is, in this particular situation, when you try to scroll it, it will stick until its container goes out of the view. For example, this is the header. The container that we have is this heading, right? And this is position sticky. So if I try to make this sticky and if I try to scroll, you'll see that this will stick unless there comes a point where, so you see this, it goes then above. And that is because a lot of other things or the container basically goes above as well. So that's one. Edgar says, man, I love following. Thanks, Ahsan. In case of any question, we'll ask. Yeah, definitely. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn specifically. So I'm very responsive there as well. Okay, so we got these now. Let's also try to have a section with numbers. So section numbers. This is gonna have the same thingamajig that we have here, but we'll actually remove this, and remove this. Where's this div? Yeah, that's the div. So in this one, we're gonna change the background color. So BG accent is gonna be there. So if we look at this, this is what we have. And then we'll have some sort of numbers here. So let's create a grid. And then so we are also going to say grid calls 1. We are going to say SM grid calls 2, and then MD grid calls 4. So four columns on large or after medium, and then the rest of them. So now what we are going to do is we are going to just run some numbers. We can actually create the numbers inside here as in an array. So here, let's say const numbers for number section, and here we can give the number. So we have the primary. The primary can be something like, I don't know, 25. Actually, let's keep this a number since it's a number. And then we are also going to say, we can also create an interface for this as well. So we can say type or interface, whatever. So we can say type number for num section. And this is gonna have two things. Primary is gonna be a number, and we also want to have secondary is gonna be a text. Not text, we have string. Where did text come from? Rohan says, it is not wrong to say that in position relative elements gonna adjust himself according to the closest parent, when in absolute is gonna adjust himself for the main HTML tag, right? No, not really. Not really. Position relative means that there was an element. That means you probably did not see the video, because then you would not be asking that question. If you see this element right here, if I don't give it anything, it will show here. If I give this position relative, and then top of 10 pixel, that means it's going to move according to its initial position. So relative to its initial position. That's what it means. If I give this absolute, then it's going to go absolutely on the top, and then we'll go from there. I'm gonna take a break because I have my son who just came. So I'm gonna be right back.